How long have I been in education? I have been teaching at the college level, started as a TA in 2008, where I was given in charge, put in charge of a couple of freshman comp classes. As a professor's assistant, then I became the professor in charge of the classes and had a TA of my own as part of a special SUNY purchase program to train, students graduating with masters in English literature or fine arts and specialized training in freshman composition, essentially. Um, so right now, as a professor, my job and its responsibilities. Well, I was a full time professor, which entailed a whole lot of things. From working on committees, budget committees, to designing courses, to uh, to designing entire degrees, proposing degrees, refining the courses that we do have. You may be on, for instance, you may also be on a committee that assesses, what it is that we can use to predict how well students will do in classes. Like in a freshman class, we find, for instance, that how if a student who misses the first day of class has a very very high rate of failing the entire class for the semester. For example, that's like one strange statistic we may find, or not so strange, but so we may gather data like that to try to refine the program. Administration may give us, data, and then of course we conduct our own classes and design that coursework and choose the literature and grade stuff obviously and create content, but also always educate ourselves to remain relevant. Um, so I've mainly taught some high school programs, get some kids ready for college, and I've taught college level courses, from freshman to senior. So, I started as an adjunct, became a assistant professor, became a lecturer, and then, when the enrollment crisis hit, now I'm back to being an adjunct. So, um, why did I choose this field? Well, I love, being around people who like education and literature and writing and I enjoy teaching. So it was a good way to align all my interest with a field. Um, and I think, the college level is the best fit, just personally for me, for that, which is why I never went, high school or elementary. Well, my ultimate professional goal is to mainly, write, publish, and to teach more in the way of creative writing than say freshman composition or literature. Um, and let's see, generally speaking, how much time do I spend working on school related activities, grading, all that good stuff? I would say when I was full time lecturer, uh, probably 61 hours a week total. That's in class and doing stuff outside of class and office hours, committee work, all that stuff. Now as an adjunct, that's much much less. See, responsibilities outside of the classroom. We already talked about some committees, gathering data, refining data, making reports, doing research. Also, we often have clubs, student clubs that I was the advisor of. So we'd have those meetings. Sometimes they'd have events, poetry readings, whatnot. Those events usually only took place three times, maybe a semester, with either weekly or bi-weekly meetings for the various clubs. I was the advisor of two. Committee work, you may meet once a month, but you may do work every week at home. All right, so perception questions. Is the field of education different than what I thought going into it? Yes. I would say the degree to which uh, politics and what's best for the budget, I didn't think that those things would impact what goes on in the classroom and in my life as an employee as much as they have. Um, has the field of education changed? I'd say yes, as long as in there, I feel like class sizes get bigger. Employee paychecks go down, insurance gets more expensive. Feel like overall, there seems to be kind of a push for, I guess, I don't know, um, I would say less rigor in the academic setting. Um, and so specific examples. Well, just like for instance, classroom size has gone from 17 to 25 since I started where I work now. Um, let's see, my perception of education. How has it changed over the years? Well, again, I would say I'm surprised to see the rise of political involvement in education, and also the rise of censorship in a classroom for professors. The most fulfilling part of my job is when I would say, I see that you reach a student, and a student, they grow intellectually, they grow, they start learning to be their own teacher, to learn themselves and teach themselves. And I've had learning sports students who started off who really struggled with writing, and then I've seen them graduate. I've had students who were already fantastic writers, and I've seen them learn some new tactics and tricks too, and just grow as thinkers. All students grown as thinkers. I guess that's my favorite part. The most stressful part, oh god, just tedious reports and things that never seem to go anywhere, and assessments where the data is either misused or never used. That just is a waste of time. That's the most stressful part. I think the other part is when you want students so badly to succeed, and then they just don't do anything. They just won't turn in work, won't do anything, and that's stressful because I see them making these mistakes. Uh, do I think there is a misperception of how education works? Yeah, absolutely. At the college level, I think there is a certain degree of the public who thinks we're some kind of, I don't know, liberal factory. Like we make these young liberals because they're getting educated and all this stuff. And anyways, and that politics somehow make its way into what I try to teach my kids about or students about a short story. I think there is this kind of misperception, and also that professors don't work, don't do anything. We're just kind of lazy. Um, as a whole, how could education be better to suit the needs of our society? Well, I think the focus needs to be back on education. It's turned into a business um, at the college level. Um, I feel like it's more about the business and producing diplomas and numbers than it is about quality of education. I think that's one thing. Um, anyways, uh, how does the school handle content standards in general? What are your supports, concerns? Let's see, what are your concerns about them? As far as content goes at Gordon, I think professors are, and this is a good nod to administration. I feel like professors are given a pretty free reign with what they choose in content, as long as this content, if it's whether it be controversial literature or whatever, if that content is centered around some kind of point of critical thinking, that that we're given a lot of free reign. Obviously, we're given the power to choose so that material, doesn't become I don't know, too pornographic or too offensive. I think we're given a lot of freedom to choose our literature and short stories and videos because they trust us that we won't abuse that power, and that's part of the trust our administration and or governing body, even our political governing body at a higher level, should have with professors is, we have the responsibility to engage with that trust that these governing bodies give us. And I think if we do so responsibly, with stuff that is, not biased, but offers, critical thinking on all sides of spectrums of thought and politics and religion and everything else, that, we have that, most professors keep it balanced, and most governing bodies trust us. Now, whether or not that's going to change given current political climate, I don't know, but we'll see. Um, let's see, curriculum. Well, what kind of curriculum, learning opportunities? Okay, so, well, my curriculum is going to be a little bit different than, if this was a high school, course, so, as far as, the essay stuff goes, I try to produce a lot of my own content, and then, use also a textbook that the, professors at Gordon wrote, so that it doesn't cost their students too much money. I try to use a lot of content, whether it be poetry online or novels, that are accessible online for free for students, and create a lot of the information about essays and stuff myself, and videos and lectures, myself. We also attend a number of conferences to see which kind of sample essays, short stories, videos, techniques, teaching styles work best. And, as far as the literature goes, I always try to have stuff that is balanced, that everybody can connect with, no matter who you are in a student, what kind of student you are in a classroom, across the entire spectrum of every kind of student we have in America. Try to at least find one thing, one piece of literature that I know that everybody would like. So I try to keep things diverse. I try to keep things contemporary and change things up, and keep stuff written by people living now, especially if they're in the area, so students can go see them perform if they're like poets or whatever. Let's see, classroom management. At the college level, managing behavior in a classroom isn't really that big of a deal. You might get an excited, rambunctious class, but that kind of energy is good in a classroom setting. I don't know. We don't really have behavior issues too much at the college level. Um, let's see, diversity in my class. Especially in terms of special needs students. I've had students that have been blind. I've had students that have been deaf. I've had students with dyslexia and a number of learning disabilities. And generally, what we do is we have an accommodations program or department where students ahead of time take documentation and paperwork to that department. And for instance, if a student who is deaf will wear a microphone, and I speak clearly in class, and make sure that I'm facing the student if he or she reads lips, and everything I said is recorded and put on a laptop in front of that student, like closed captioning basically. And for blind students, we've had other things that that technologies that produce work that is either read audibly. It's been a long time since that's happened, but students receive accommodations. They have extra timing for tests. There's a number of things that are done, and to be quite honestly, the accommodations department tells me how to behave. I do what they say in the classroom to help the student as best I can, and we've got whole things that revolve around that. Um, I think that's about it. That's about it. Other Let's see, these suggested questions. What suggestions do you have for people coming into the education field regarding curriculum learning? Um, well, I don't know. It's at the college level. It's just, you got to do your research, see what works, meet with other professors. You got to engage and find out what the common what the course curriculum states that you have to do. Experiment and find some things that work best. Um, as far as regarding teaching diverse learners and those with special needs, I mean, besides receiving training on how to do that, be a citizen of the world, be involved with people that are different than you, whether it be in terms of a physical disability or where they're from, or nationality, ethnicity, sexuality, whatever, age, everything. Just open yourself to the world and learn a little bit about other people's experiences, and that will give you better insight into any situation that's happening and help you make the best decisions. And keep in mind that education is a place of love and acceptance, that we're here to learn, and that can be a very pure thing if you act accordingly, to come at it with positivity and love and with nothing else. Um, let's see, classroom management and student behavior. Like I said, you gotta, at the college level, you might, the worst thing that might happen is you get the student that gets a little irritated with a student who's maybe a little bit, uh, who's not paying attention as much, or maybe isn't grasping the concept as well. You just have to, gently remind everybody to treat each other with respect. And at the college level, classroom behavior is generally not that big of a deal. We have to fuss at people about phones a lot, so that's one thing. But anyways, uh, and as far as including outside responsibilities and engaging with parents, I would say, even at the college level, we do sometimes have to engage with parents, or sometimes students aren't happy with something. And they go to your department head or above your department head to try to complain, or, or, and, 9 times out of 10, that situation can be avoided by being very clear on, for instance, what an assignment, what the parameters of the assignment is. Give an example of a successful assignment, student example of that assignment. Give an example of one that's not so successful. And, be very transparent about your grading system and why things get the grades that they get in your policies. Have them in the syllabus, have a video example of them, have everything, and document everything, keep copies of everything, be very clear, so that if you do have to engage with an angry parent because their student, you know, failed or whatever, um, you have that documentation. And also, keep in mind that, it's also strange times. A lot of students at our college work for a living. Some are single parents. Some have no parental support at all. Some are struggling just to have basic needs like food. So some have limited access to internet. So always, try to be lenient with deadlines and things like that to a degree, and give the student the benefit of the doubt. Maybe their circumstance that prevented them from turning something in on time is embarrassing, and they don't want to talk about it. So just try to give that student that trust. And that's really there's some things like finals and midterms that you can't really bend on, but there's other things like discussion posts and tests or essays that you can. So I just try to be there for the student as much as possible, and try not to crush them. Anyways, I hope this is helpful.